Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage, the beautiful sunny, somewhat crisp, temperature-wise state of Maine. This morning on the way to the bus stop, my son and I, both wearing shorts, were considering long pants. But not today, not ready to give up. I feel awful for the folks down south in Florida and the southern states that have been hit by the hurricane and dealing with the aftermath. Canada last week, I guess, Newfoundland. So it doesn't really seem to matter where you live. It's hard to get 12 months of perfection. You're going to pay the price from Mother Nature a few of those months. Like Florida's great in the wintertime. I wouldn't want to be there in the summer or the fall. You know, a lot of people won't come to Maine because they don't want to deal with snow. And occasionally we do get hurricanes, but they're rare. They will come up the coast, but with the hope that they're, knocked down a few categories by the time they reach us. But yeah, I guess you pick your poison. No matter where you live, it's hard to find perfection. If it was perfect, it's probably crowded. So today, much happier subjects. We're talking about, let's call it hot rod psychology. That's going to be the name of the video. And a few different levels I want to hit on. They don't really have specific names, but first off, what makes you happy? What is when you look at something, let's say you're at a car show or reading a magazine, watching TV, you see something, you either say yes or no. It's not for you, but it might be for somebody else. So finding what makes you happy and what discipline, hot rodding, antiques, chasing cones around a parking lot, drifting, circle track, drag racing. It's all good and all appealing to some people and not to others. The same certainly goes for car styles. I mean, a lot of cars that I like, other cars I learned to like, some cars I'll never like. And that's just how you came equipped up here. It's just, there's no changing it. There's nothing you do about it. It's kind of like what you like to eat for food and what you don't. So nobody's right, nobody's wrong either. A lot of people waste a lot of time worried about what other people are doing. The expression I like is, keep your eye on your barber, which means mind your own business. Like what you like and enjoy it. Everybody, especially in the hot rod world, should, if there's ever a chance at world peace, car people should have that. I mean, I trust every car guy I meet, or person. Car guy is a non-generic, non-gender term. I learned that on watching the McGuire's show on TV, where he made an excellent point to, highlight the fact that it doesn't matter man or woman. Everybody's a car guy if you like cars. So when I say car guy, I do not mean to exclude anybody, because all are welcome. That's my point. Funding, not everybody has the same amount of disposable income to put into a fun vehicle. Regardless of your desire to have one, sometimes life circumstances don't allow it. Sometimes they allow you to buy one turnkey or have somebody build one for you. Some people like, cars that are, ratty. Other ones like them shiny. Right back to what I originally said. It's whatever makes you happy, but the funding part, you can only do so much about. Work harder, I guess, but there's nothing wrong with a guy like me. I have to do it myself. Buying a turnkey car or having somebody build one for me would be, I guess, a dream, but I don't know at this point. I've never known anything else. And I'm so picky, I don't even like my own work. How am I going to like somebody else's, especially when it's costing me money? So everybody needs to have buy-in. If you buy a vehicle complete or have it built for you, I guess you have more say if you had it built for you. But if I buy somebody's car turnkey, even if it's a roller, I'm still going to have to make it my own. And that is pretty normal in the automotive world. or even motorcycles, if you buy a Harley Davidson, you're not leaving without going to the accessory showroom to buy some stuff. I'm sure it happens on occasion, but probably not very often. Same with a car. By the time you start with the floor mats and working your way up, you're going to make it your own. So your car is uniquely yours. So back to me, the only person I can speak with authority about, and even then, let's face it, he's kind of shady. I have to keep a running list to remind myself, one, of how much work I need to do. I love projects, so I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I didn't have a project, if I finish something, I have to have another one waiting in the wings or go find one. I see the genius in only having one or two as far as completion, but to me it's not all about completion, clearly, because I have 11 projects. And I listed 5 engines, but there's a lot more than that need attention. I don't even have transmissions on the list or rear ends and shop projects, but 11 vehicles. Now, recently I have been considering, I saw a car that I really liked. I don't need it, but I want it. And that most everything we're going to talk about as far as hot rodding goes is want. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're only going this direction one time. So live life a little bit. As long as you're paying the bills, that's great. So I look at this project, and the guy's a pretty fair dude. He wants to maybe do some trading. Still be a lot of cash, more cash than I want to spend. But in my mind, I'm thinking, one, I have 11 projects. What could I part with? And what could I get for it? Because I see, this is what I paid for it, what parts I bought or I'm willing to include with it, and what it's actually worth. Because, to a lot of your buying public, they only look at finished projects. Not everybody wants a project like me. So there's that. Could I part with any of these to help fund the other one? Because has to be how it works. I'm not going to take money that runs the household to go buy a want. It's just a want. It's not a need. It doesn't heat the house. It doesn't turn the electricity on. It eats things. It doesn't contribute a bit. So you have to run all through that. So there's one concern. Could I part with a project to come up with the money? Do I want to put that much money into a project? Always a concern. Even if I got it turnkey, it's not mine. It's somebody else's dream at the moment. You have to change it. Now, it's kind of like why I like just simple engine swaps and stuff like that. And if you just buy a vehicle that needs a powertrain, like the old Dodge, you throw a motor and tranny in it and fix up a few things and you're driving it. It's not a multi-year or decade project. And those are fun. So even if I sacrificed a few of my projects, spent the money, which I haven't talked myself out of it yet, if I part with any of my projects, I'm going to be sad down the road, because especially when you see them brought to completion by somebody else. I've only done that a few times in my life. It does seem like my projects are stalled right now, mostly because other work gets in the way, but in my lifetime, I've completed many projects. The ones that I bailed on and sold with my dreams included, like I sold a crew cab dually project to a friend of mine, and while he never finished it, he's been driving it for 10 years, and it's a cool looking truck. Makes me sad every time I see it. So we'll have to revisit this subject again. Just wanted to see how this saga plays out. Will he trade a project? Will he bring another one home? Yeah. So I cannot tell you how handy this cart is. Already today, I used it. I finished a Turbo 400 that was in the saddle up on the bench. This fits right under it. This is a Jegs lift cat. Pumpy. Just lowers it. So this is a perfect height. I mean, if it was an inch, it went up an extra inch, it would be even better, but I was too cheap to buy the 1,000 pound. This is a 500 pound cart. The 1,000 pound cart is also bigger, and it would be difficult to get through my tortured course that I call the garage. It's getting, cleaned out day by day. Well, let's just say I move stuff anyway. So this, I am thrilled at how I'm able to work it in and out of stuff. If somebody brings me a transmission, I go out and it's tailgate height, we slide it right in. Because like I mentioned, these transmissions are getting heavier every year. So already today I've used it to remove a 400. I moved it to another bench so I could go get another one off the floor. It's a short lift. You know, picking one up 6 inches to toss it on here isn't too bad. Right over to the bench and right into the saddle with minimal effort. And then I used it on this Willys to lower the front axle out, wheel it outside to get rid of it. The rear axle, which is over the spring, I was able to shove it all out one side, lower one side using this, and took it right out, wheeled it outside, dumped it on the ground, and used it to mock up the front axle, just like this. It's a handy workbench. I use this thing every day, even when I don't have transportation needs. I try not to keep it tied up because I want to be able to use it mostly for transmission, moving those around. So I don't keep it stuck, but a lot of times it becomes a quick workbench. It's just one of the handiest things. I knew it would be good. I hoped it would be good for just loading transmissions off and on the bench. Didn't know I'd use it so much for everything else. So I've even wheeled it outside. I was working on the car outside, used it as a workbench. So pretty handy, pretty light. You can pick it up if you had to. And the front axle, I was able to grab it out of the vise where it's been in the background for a few videos. Set it on here, wheel it over here, jack it right into place. So it's hard. This Willys is not mine. And one of the reasons I'm glad I don't take in vehicles to work on anymore. When I left my real job, and I was working on stuff like this all the time. It's hard to draw a line, right back to hot rod psychology. Like if my job here is to put this straight axle in this gasser thing, I'm not a gasser person. This is not my style. Doesn't matter. I'm just doing a job. A lot of the engineering, if you can call it that, that's been done to any project you drag home, or sadly a lot of vehicles on the road too. That's what's scary. You can't see my gray Nova that's up on the left, but that's a classic example. All brand new front end parts, all the wrong hardware. None of the nuts engage the locking device, be it a nylock or I prefer a metal type stover nuts on a front suspension. They don't even reach, the bolts aren't long enough. That's fine because I bought it as a project and I know how to fix it. I go to many car shows. I had a whole album full of pictures I deleted because I was tired of looking at them, of things I see out in the wild, on the road with other vehicles coming at them. And they're dangerous. So working on other people's stuff, you have to focus. My job is to the best of my ability, work with what's here, even though I don't like it, and just do my job, because I said I would do the job, so I'm going to do a job, and engineer up as best I can the cross steering, which is what I'm working on now, just mocking it up, seeing what cross members I have to add and cut out. I have to put a big block Chevy and a 4-speed in it, mounts for it, and I took out the stock rear end this morning, and there's an Olds Pontiac style rear end over there, which happens to be within a 1/4 inch of what was under this thing originally. So that's pretty cool. The front end and rear end that come out of this look like they belong under a golf cart, if that's strong. So I'll show you a picture of them before we quit here. But so yeah, you have to just remain on task, because in my head I'm already fixing all this stuff, and I'd work on this for 20 years. I'd never get to my own projects. So you have to not work with blinders, but realize stay on task, do what you're asked to do. And that was the hardest part of bringing in whole vehicles, because now your name's attached to it, and it's not done to how you would like it. You just did a job on it. So that is the hard part of working on hot rods. This is the front axle somebody's been working on. There's a crow hollering at me, but again, somebody had started the disc brake conversion. Probably glad they stopped when they did. The stock rear end, I haven't even researched what it is, but she's tiny. Both front and the back had 3 HU bolts holding them in. Everything is so small. Oh, nope, somebody's worked on this too, because I see cutting or repositioning. I don't know if that's a weld or a cut when you can't tell, but this is what's going in. This old Pontiac style, late 50s, used to be the hot setup when, you know, before people discovered the 9-inch Ford. It's big. Has aftermarket axles, disc brake calipers. I mean, this is good stuff. I know this because I assembled it a few years ago for the guy. And again, I always insist on making it legal. You need a parking brake to be legal. So a lot of people around here run the antique plate because they don't have to get a sticker. Well, the vehicle still has to be legal. If you were stopped, it has to pass inspection. Just because you don't have to have it checked every year, just because there's no sheriff in town, doesn't mean you can rob the bank. There's an analogy. So if this was going on Leaf Springs, it would be a really easy project, but no, we have these big crazy ladder bars that'll probably go up to the transmission crossmember or beyond. Wheelie bars, which is window dressing. Fender well headers, all kinds of junk. So I'm not going to dedicate a lot of videos to it, but I'll keep you updated on how it's coming. So today I find the video outside and there's no wind noise, and now the crows are hassling me. They're out there cawing at me. They still are. I have the door open. They're still going. So I hope you have a great weekend. Get out there and do something. Enjoy the fall weather wherever you are. Hopefully you're safe and living life. And I'll catch you in a couple days.